Hey, all, we are on tip number 4, which is all about Saturday morning's small group. Now, remember, throughout this weekend, what we're trying to do is to display how the Bible is showing us that God's character is trustworthy. He is trustworthy. And trust is putting your confidence in someone you know you can depend on. So for our Saturday morning small group, everything that you'll need will be found in your tub. Extra copies, supplies, everything you need. And the key question this morning that we're going to be addressing is, when is it hard to trust God? And the bottom line that we're after is that when life doesn't make sense, you can trust that God is with you. And this morning's small group is going to have 4 parts: a game we called Take a Snapshot, and then 2, the Bible story extension, a time of connection, and then a time of reflection. So let's walk through together as I prepare for my small group on Saturday morning. So here we are. We're here at this taking a snapshot section. It's a time of play, and it's purposed play, and it provides an activity that encourages learning through following guidelines and working as a group. In your tub, you'll find paper plates, and those paper plates are going to be called stepping stones. You're going to explain that to your group, and you're going to split your cabin into 2 different teams, A and B. And you're going to tell them that you are going to play a race. But before we can end up playing a race, you have to be able to make stones to be able to step on. On each of these paper plates or stones, we're going to encourage our teams to write on each plate one reason why they would trust someone. So, for example, they do what they say, they keep promises, they speak from experience, they don't lie. So each of your stones has a reason that someone would trust them. Now you lay out each of the stones from beginning to end, and tell your teams that they must move in trust. So to move from start line to the finish, they can only step on the stones. And if they don't have enough stones to make it to the end, they have to work together to pass a stone from the beginning of the line to the end of the line, or vice versa, and so that they only step on the stones, and they work together as a team. And now, once you've finished the game, you declare a winner, and then you can use this as a transition statement to be able to say, when do you think it would be hard to trust someone? And use examples. And then, do you think that you could trust someone you don't know? Why or why not? For the next part of the small group, what we're going to be able to do is have a time of connection and discussion. So with this, you don't need any supplies. There's just going to be a couple different questions right over here that you can be able to utilize to be able to facilitate your discussion with your group. That includes, when's it hard to trust God? How do you think Joseph felt during the dark times in this story? Um, is it is easy to trust God when things are going good, but what can you do to remember to trust God when life isn't going the way you want? And the last one that they suggest here is, it is hard to trust someone you don't know. So how can we get to know God? The next game that we're going to have is a Bible story extension. It's going to be a move game again. So you're going to establish the place, a place where they're going to start. And then you're going to have a bunch of question cards. If you scroll down in my sense, or if you flip over to the next page, you'll find that there are a whole bunch of questions. So in those question cards, you shuffle them up, and then you're going to have the kids one at a time at the starting line, give them an opportunity to be able to take a question card and then be able to see if they can correctly answer that card. Some of the questions have more than one answer, so allow them to elaborate if appropriate, and and then to also prompt your kids. Does anyone have something to add? So the idea is that we are all getting the chance to be able to reflect and review the Bible as we play the game. And when you have all of the questions being answered, the person closest to the starting line is actually the winner. Now, As you play the game, you'll find out that there will be responses that will make them take 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. There will be lots of different actions and activities that they will do as a response. Now, um, after you're done playing, you'll ask questions like, well, what about this game made no sense? Well, what about Joseph's story that didn't make sense or seemed unfair to him? Why might it be hard for Joseph to trust God? And where was God in our story today? And where is God when all things don't make sense or seem unfair? In this time of personal reflection, what we're going to try and do is help them to be able to identify that they can trust God even when things don't go as they would hope or as they seem. So to do so, you're going to give them a paper, a pencil, and then you're going to place a stack of alphabet tiles at the center of the circle, or the center of the room that you're in. And then you're going to recap the difficult parts. Like Joseph's life was filled with things that didn't make sense, yet God was with him. Jesus faced a lot of struggles and difficult situations, yet God was with him. His death on the cross was horrible and painful, yet Jesus trusted God through everything because of God's character. And now, because of Jesus' trust in God, we can be with God now and forever. The last part of this small group is to be able to make it personal with prayer. So we have provided you with some paper and some pencils, and we also have some alphabet tiles to be able to help to prompt, and you'll see how that can play into this. The hope is that you would be able to explain that sometimes it's hard to remember to trust God, especially when life doesn't make sense. Joseph's life was filled with things that didn't make sense to him, and yet God was with him through it all. Jesus had to face a lot of difficult situations, but it's because of his death on the cross, even though horrible, because Jesus trusted God through everything, it is because of him that we can now be with God now and forever. So, with those backdrop of all things Bible, now we can be able to encourage the kids to be able to say, look, I can trust God even when things are rough, even when things don't make sense. And to have them, and so we would encourage you to instruct them to write it down. I can trust God even when ... We can also instruct them to be able to identify God's character. Not only just that we can, but why we can. We can believe in God, we can trust God because he is faithful, because he is good, because he cares for us, because he weeps with us. And then you can be able to pray together. And if you don't know what to pray, there is a prayer right here, and that will be the end of your Saturday morning small group.